You are listening to the Dr.Grande podcast. Another episode begins right now.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another week of the podcast. It's good to be in studio. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you're with us. Apart from the stream, I enjoy being able to come in the studio and have a conversation with you. And yes, it is a conversation because I am always encouraging you, whether you're in the stream or you're listening to the podcast, to jump in the mix. Let your opinion be heard. You won't be censored, well, to a degree. And I'd like to know what your feedback is. I want this to be an open conversation where we can talk candidly, respectfully about one another and things that are on our mind, because let's just say various entities are not doing that. Just saying. So let me just encourage you to jump in at any time. Doesn't matter if you're listening to the most current podcast or you're listening to a podcast in the future or behind or wherever you are in the podcast series. Your voice and opinion is always relevant, and you can always let me know what you think at drgrande.com. That's doctor spelt out grande.com. And I just enjoy hearing from you guys. So that is the other highlight. So it's always the stream, the podcast, and the fact that you guys are letting me know you're out there. So don't be shy. This week, I want to talk about something interesting, and we're going to talk a little bit about current affairs, if you will, or current things going on, because I think it's worth talking about. And I hope that you would take an interest in this topic, because it does and can, as time goes on, and depending on which side of the table it turns on, can affect you. And I want to talk about the freedom of speech. And I'm not trying to get political or anything on you, but it's interesting. And the reason I want to bring this up is because this week, at least as I record this, and today, the biggest, one of the biggest news headings was about Spotify. Namely, that Spotify did not cancel Joe Rogan. And that Neil Young decided to leave Spotify because they did not cancel Joe Rogan. In fact, Neil Young gave an ultimatum to Spotify, said either it's Joe or me, and Spotify said we're not canceling, and so he pulled his music from the platform. Now, I've never met Joe, I've never met Neil, so I don't know how serious this is. I don't know what happened behind closed doors. I don't know if Neil's doing this temporarily as a political stunt, because he does have a lot of, I think it was 60% of his hits are played on Spotify. I could be wrong. But it raises an interesting question. It raises something that I think is important. And I think we're in an era. We're in an era that is really kind of tugging at our foundation. And we, me, you, and our fellow citizens have to decide, and may have to decide at some point, where things are going to go, where we're going to end up, what we're going to change, not change. And I'm not politically motivated, but I do care. I care about my future, your future. I'm interested in the collective common good for us, so I'll say that. But I am also very prone to protecting our rights, because after all, there are rights, whether there are be the freedom of speech, whatever one. That's the one I wanted to focus in today. But it just seems more and more our rights are being questioned, if you will, prodded, if you will, and especially with this case between Joe Rogan and Spotify and Neil Young. Now, I guess this all transpired because Joe Rogan was talking to a doctor regarding COVID, and there was some things that a community didn't like being said about COVID, and they demanded that Joe Rogan be canceled. So here's the question. We have in this, at least in this country, at least in America, or at least while I'm recording this, we have the right of freedom of speech. It's a constitutional right that we have. So before we get into the Joe Rogan thing, but think about your freedom of speech. You have the right to express whatever you feel, and you can speak your mind. You have the right to your opinion. But I also want to make you aware that you truly do not 100% of the time have the right to say everything that's on your mind. So in a sense, our rights are limited sometimes. For example, if you're in math class and you feel like singing a song or telling your classmates about the cool movie you watched this weekend, I think you'd be hard-pressed to be given the green light to just stand up and start saying whatever the hell you wanted to say. Likewise, if you go to a movie theater and you feel like praising the movie or opposing the movie or criticizing the movie openly, I don't think you'd be allowed to do so. You can I'm not saying you should try it, but if you have tried, and you could let me know how you do. I'm not promoting it. But my point is that we allow certain points or entities or situations or social functions to suppress or limit our freedom of speech. And we're okay with that. Because we've entrusted those entities with that power. Just like we trust government with its power. But nonetheless, you are able to have your own opinion, and you're able to express your own opinion. On this other side of the coin, if I'm saying something, you have a right to disagree or agree with me. You have a right to oppose what I say. You have a right to criticize with certain limitations of what I said. If your opinion is that, if we're talking about, I don't know, let's say we're talking about ice cream, and I'm talking how I love cookie dough ice cream, and you oppose cookie dough ice cream. As much as I have a right to say why cookie dough ice cream is so amazing, you have just as equal of a right to say how and why you think cookie dough is disgusting. But it seems like in today's society and in today's world, we're now calling, there's a group calling for, if you say something that this group, our group that doesn't like, we want to be able to shut you up. We want to be able to censor you. And that's very dangerous. Why should I not be able to express the right of my like or dislike for something, just as you have to express yours. Last time I checked, Joe Rogan and his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, was not a national note entitled or claimed to be a news organization. It's just conversation. So do we have to filter the types of conversations we have and what we can share in a conversation if we want to post it on the internet? If we want to post it on Spotify, if we want to post it on YouTube or wherever? I think it's hypocritical because a lot of the news organizations, especially in today's world, have become very, instead of fact driven, they've become agenda and opinion driven, and it goes for both. I'm not giving a hall pass to one side and the other. The right and the left media organizations, they do it. They both do it. And so we've seen news going from fact-based to political commentary. And it's amazing to me the bias you can see on any channel. You can see it. It's clear as day. And for some reason that's accepted. And it's amazing. There could be one incident, one event, but depending on who covered it, it could be covered two different ways. I mean, look at all the news, major news events that have happened recently. Turn on one channel's coverage and turn on another channel's coverage, and you can see they're two different things. But how can they be the same, to claim the same, to cover the same news, the same event, if one set of news organizations reporting, quote unquote, a set of facts, and the other is reporting the other set of facts? If we're looking at what happened, if we're looking for truth, how can there be different sets of facts? So bringing it back to the censorship. So if we want people to be censored because they're stating opinions that we don't like, why do we need that? Like, for example, if I'm watching something I disagree with, I have the right and the option to turn it off. Earlier today, I was watching a commentary. It was in my news feed. And as I clicked it, I realized this is one of those internet, like, political commentary shows that are specific to YouTube. And I don't want to, I'm not bashing them. I'm not here to tell them how to do their show. It's their right how to express their opinions and cover the stories they want to, because it's their channel. It's their right to speak. But I was very alarmed at the fact that they played this clip of an interview on Fox News. And there was really nothing in the clip that was really newsworthy or even something to talk about. But because it's Fox News, or if it was CNN, another way around, because it's the other, deemed as the quote-unquote other side, they want to prod and they want to poke the bear. But they weren't commentating on what's happened. They were simply making fun of the person being interviewed. They didn't like the person that they were being interviewed, that was being interviewed. And they went and comment on the hair color, the things they did with their lip when they were talking. It's like we went back to elementary school and we're in the childhood playground sandbox and we're saying, you look stupid, kind of a thing. But people are into that. People are into that, and people will find that entertaining to have these so-called political commentators or these channels that provide so-called political commentary, and then they just make the most ridiculous, in my view, arguments or just get down in the mud and just start attacking their character. When did we get to the level when we disagree with someone, instead of sticking to the facts, instead of sticking to logic and reason together, we get down in the mud and we start going, well, you look like you got hit with an ugly stick. Why is that socially acceptable? Now notice, I don't agree with it. Notice I don't like it. But I'm not calling for censorship. I'm not boycotting that channel. I'm not blowing up YouTube and say, kick this channel off your network. I just choose not to listen to it. I just choose to not click on their videos. So why do we need somebody to be the social referee, the freedom of speech referee, let's call it? Why do we need that? Is what other people are saying on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever political commentary show, are we screening 100% of those shows to ensure that the facts are being told accurately? And just like I've brought up the case that depending on which organization you listen to, there's different facts. What facts are we gonna say these are true and these are misinformation? The media can't do it because the media platforms are biased. So who's going to be the neutral, detached arbiter of truth, of freedom of speech, to call what's worthy of censorship, what's not? And how do you justify that under the heading of free speech? How can you say we have free speech if I can't say I like something that you don't like? Or you can't say you like something that I like? I mean, I can't believe for a second that this is the first time in history where, there was an event going on, such a, maybe not COVID, but like, certain national event where some people stated their opinion that wasn't popular, or maybe stated a fact that was later proven wrong. And they didn't have censorship. See, the cool thing about the truth is that if it's true, and what you're saying is true, what's being said is true, it will stand the test of time. It will stand longer than any lie or any falsehood about it. Because at the end of the day, it's the truth that stands alone. It's the truth that matters. And if we are going to have free speech police, censorship, then we have to have a damn good system. We have to have someone who could be honest and fair, that can be detached, but I don't know if anybody or any entity that can take on that role at this point in time. I mean, look at the criminal justice system. The process that goes in place through the entire legal process is to ensure that someone's right is not going to be wrongly taken away from them. Their rights are going to be infringed. Their freedom is not going to be taken away from them wrongfully. Now, are there errors in the system? Yes. Is it 100% bulletproof, perfect? Unfortunately, no. But we want it to be, and we can improve upon it. But the idea is that there are processes in play to ensure the best result and the results of the truth. To ensure that you're right, or whoever who is involved in the legal system is not, their rights are not just stripped away from them. Their freedom's not stripped away from them willy-nilly. Rights matter. And freedom of speech is an important right. And it matters. So if you believe in censorship, one, why? Why do you believe in censorship? Why does a group of people who go, we don't like this, have a right to shut someone else's freedom of speech, shut their opinion up? How do you justify that? Through an equal, objective, neutral and detached way and process. If you come up with that, then maybe we can do it. But as it looks like right now, it just, people are, like I said in the other podcast, we are divided so much so right now that you're either team A or team B. And if you're in team B, I have nothing to say to you, and whatever you're saying is bullcrap. This is further drawing that line in the sand, I think. And I think we seriously need to consider it. And the implications, the consequences it can have if we keep pursuing down that road. Not everybody that people, or not everything that people talk about on podcasts or TV makes me happy. I enjoy. But again, I'm not boycotting them or writing letters or contacting an attorney or starting political organizations or GoFundMes to shut them down, because I believe and respect their right to say whatever they want, just as I have every right to protest what they're saying or disagree with what they're saying in respect for man. I think this comes down to just an issue of respect. Have we lost respect for one another to the point where we will not listen to people when they're clearly against what we have to say? Maybe we should learn to respect people, respect their rights, and as much as we respect our own. And realize that they have just every right that we have, and they should respect our rights and we should respect theirs. Now, let me ask you a question. Let's say you do a podcast or a live stream and you're giving your opinion. Would you want it to be a way that if someone doesn't like what you said, they can just cancel your podcast, cancel your live stream? Would that be fair? Would you appreciate that? Or would you want to be able to express your opinion and see, and for those who value and agree with your opinion, to hear you? Sometimes I think we ask for things to happen to other people that we wouldn't want to happen to ourselves. And that's hypocritical. And I don't think we should be hypocritical. You know, it really amazes me. Like, I was driving yesterday, and I have in my new car, it came with Sirius XM. And there was this show that's exclusively on Sirius XM, political commentary. And I like to, I don't live under a rock. I like to hear both sides and see what they say. I don't agree with both sides sometimes. I don't contribute my loyalty to one particular party, but I am a good idea and common good equal opportunity employer. But in this particular show that I was listening to, they were talking about the oil crisis. They were talking about the price of oil going up and the problem with that. And naturally, you bring politics in it, then you want to blame certain people, you want to blame certain administrations and whatnot. But it was very clear that this particular group of panelists had a view and was not willing to listen to anything contrary. So caller after caller, I'm listening to this podcast, and they're just, as soon as someone brings up something that's a valid point, mind you, they would belittle that person. They would talk over that person. They'd be like, "Oh my God, Jim, I love you, man. Jim, you're uncontrolled, man. Jim, I feel sorry for you. Jim," while the caller is trying to say his point, they'd cut him off. They literally did not want any opposition on their show. They did not even want to consider, think, or allow someone with a different ideology, belief, point of view to even utter one word on their show. And to me, that's just sad. Because I think we can learn more through different opinions, through opposition. I mean, if we're around people who think like us 24/7, are we really going to learn anything new? Are we going to add value to what we already know? But if we can go back to a point where we can respect one another, listen to one another, and not engage in belittling characterization comment because you believe something different, and we stick to the substance, we can get somewhere. We can learn something. I think the presidential debates this last time around were horrible because there was no winner or no loser in terms of an undecided voter or maybe a voter who kind of made up their mind to go, yes, this is my candidate. Instead, what happens, we just pick a side and go, no matter what he says or what he does, I'm voting for this guy. there's an old phrase that, my mom used to tell me. You have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You should listen more and speak less, because I like to talk. I mean, if it's not evident already that I like to talk, I like to talk. Give me a microphone, I'm happy. That's why I love this. It allows me to do what I love. But I've had to pull myself back from doing the talking to start listening more. And in fact, that's one of my goals, my New Year's resolutions for 2022 is to speak less and talk more. And one other thing. It's interesting, all these so-called political analysts that we have in this country that tell you why one party or one candidate sucks or does not suck, but yet they don't hold the very office that they claim to know so much about. So if they know so much about why one party is greater than the other, why one candidate is greater than the other, what this country really needs, and they're going to tell you what we need to do and what this president should do, this senator, this congressperson should do, why aren't they the ones running for office? We have in America a participant-driven system where anyone in America can partake and run for public office. So why aren't they running? It's easy to talk. It's easy to criticize. But it's another thing to do. So maybe America, maybe opinionators, maybe political commentators, we need to start talking less. Maybe we need to start judging others. Maybe we need to stop throwing tantrums when someone says something we disagree with, and respect them because that's their right to disagree. They are entitled to their opinion. And we can't just censor people because they don't want to think the way we think. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that someone who's deliberately going out and spewing lies should be free to do so. But in an opinion piece and it's something that it's just a conversation, just like if I was having a conversation with somebody here and someone listened and didn't agree with what either the guest or I said, shouldn't have the right to put take me off the air, to shut my voice up. So can we get back to those times? Will we get back to those times? I don't know. But we should be thinking long and hard about this things we're trying to do and these things we're calling for. And we got to ask the question, would we be happy with ourselves having that applied to us? That's why I never agree whether it's a Democrat or Republican who want to make legislation that they themselves will not have to follow. I will never agree with that. Because we should be looking at the collective common good for not only ourselves, but our fellow citizens. So I want you to think about that. And I will say, if you have something in opposition to what I've said, I still welcome it. I'll still read the email, as long as it's respectfully, because I like differences of opinion, and I will wager this. I think we have more in common, and that unites us than divides us. So let's find commonality in one another, and let's work towards our differences. Let's respect one another, and let's just be better and go to better peaks in our lives than stoop low and wallow in the mud for no real purpose. I'll see you guys next week.